What do you think the sun tastes like? Nobody knows what the sun tastes like, but every time you eat a meal, it's like taking a bite out of the sun. Life on Earth exists because of the sun. Plants, such as grass, use the sun's energy, along with water, carbon dioxide, and minerals from the soil, to produce their own food. This is why plants are also known as producers. Animals cannot make their own food and depend directly or indirectly on plants for their energy. For example, cows get their energy from eating grass directly. Humans get their energy from grass indirectly when they eat steak. A diagram that represents the flow of energy between some organisms in an ecosystem is called a food chain. All food chains start with plants, or producers. Now, let's look at this pond ecosystem. What food chains can we form with these pond organisms? The pond turtle eats the water lily, which gets its energy from the sun. This forms one food chain. The pond turtle also eats snails that also eat the water lily. This forms another food chain. Notice that the water lily and the turtle are common to both these food chains. What do we get when we combine food chains in an ecosystem? When two or more food chains are connected in an ecosystem, we get a food web. Food webs can be simple or complex. Food webs show us how organisms depend on each other and the ecosystem for food. We can also see that the sun's energy is transferred from plants to animals. What would happen to the pond food web if a disease killed all the water lilies? The snails, fish, and turtles that eat the water lilies would have no food, and eventually they too would not survive. Besides disease, what else could affect organisms in an ecosystem? Natural disasters such as droughts, forest fires, and floods can also affect organisms in a food web. Humans, too, can affect food webs by activities such as hunting, habitat destruction, and pollution. Organisms in a food web are also affected when we introduce a new organism into an ecosystem. For example, the ducks will also eat the snails and water lilies, reducing their numbers. The turtles and fish will then have less to eat, and their numbers may reduce. Let's link back to what we learned today. We learned that a food chain is a diagram that represents the flow of energy between some organisms in an ecosystem. Food chains in an ecosystem are interconnected, forming food webs. Disease, natural disasters, and several human activities can affect organisms in a food web, leading to disruptions in the food web. These disruptions can eventually destroy ecosystems. How can you help to protect and preserve your ecosystem?